Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this girl version of the leprechaun. She is what I consider a no-sew body pattern, which means we're going to start by making her arms, and then we're going to make her legs. Then we're going to start at the top of the head, work our way down. We're going to add the arms, work on the body stuff, add the eyes, add the legs and clothes. We will have a little bit of embroidering to do. We'll be crocheting on the hair and the braids, and then we'll be sewing on the ears and the hat. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I'm also providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoy this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. Okay, I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. All right, we are going to start with the hand, and you can begin your rounds any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be making a knot with a loop on the end, so what I do is I fold my yarn over in half, then I'm going to pinch it up at the top. I'm going to wrap that around my finger, down and through to make a knot. Then I'm going to pinch that loop. I'm just going to slide that knot all the way up so that my loop is just a little bit bigger than my hook. And we're going to insert our hook, grab our yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember that that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull on that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, increase 3 and 4 in the same stitch, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 4, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 5, we are going to start off with what I call a double crochet cluster. So what you're going to do is yarn over. You're going to go into that next stitch, grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn, and pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. And that's going to be 1. Yarn over in that same stitch, grab your yarn and pull up, grab your yarn, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. So that's going to be 1, 2. Yarn over, go into that same stitch, grab your yarn and pull up, grab your yarn, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. So that's 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, go in that same stitch, grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn, go through the first 2 loops on your hook. And now that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to grab your yarn and you're going to go through all those loops on your hook. Give it a bit of a pull. You might have to pop it out towards you. And then we're going to do 11 single crochets all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Row 6, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and on our 12th one we're going to change color. So you're going to go in, grab your yarn, pull up, leave those 2 loops on your hook. We're going to cut the color that we've been using, but leave yourself a bit of a tail so you can tie it. And then you're going to grab your sleeve color. We're going to tie our new color to our old color nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, 2 or 3 times. I'm just going to stuff my ends on the inside there. Then you're going to grab that new color and you're going to pull it through those last 2 loops of your last stitch of the previous row. Row 7, you are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. So 1 single crochet, 1 decrease for 2, single crochet for 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8. Row 8, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 9, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 10, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 11, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 12, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 13, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 14, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 15, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 16, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now we're going to take our hook out and our stitch marker out, and we're going to add some stuffing. Okay, so we're going to start by stuffing the hand first. So we're just going to take a little bit. If you're doing in the number 4 yarn, it is a bit tricky to get down into that arm without stretching it. One of the best tips I ever got was to use scissors. And I know there's lots of things you can use. I even thought the same thing myself. I used to use a little skewer. And I did not try scissors right away, but I tell you, once I did, I have not done it a different way since. So you want to get this nice and firm in a bit of a round shape, and then you're just going to lightly stuff up the arm. So you want the arm not to be too full because you want it to kind of bend around like this, and you don't want it to stick straight out. If you have too much stuffing, it's going to stick straight out on you. And then once you're happy with how much stuffing you have, you're going to get your hook back in. You're going to go into that very next stitch. And then you're going to go into the last stitch on the other side. And we're going to do 3 single crochets across. So 1, 2, make sure you're getting through both sides of the arm, and 3. And then you're going to tie that off. And even though I don't sew these on, we are going to do something a little bit at the end to secure these a little better once they're on. So leave yourself a bit of a tail. So if you've just finished your first arm, I will be putting a screenshot over in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second arm. And if you're finished your second arm, just keep on watching and we'll continue on to the next part. All right, now we're going to do the legs, and I'm going to start with brown instead of black just because it's a little bit easier to see. And again, you can do your rounds any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then pull that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we're going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 single crochet for 1, 1 increase for 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, increase, 3 and 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 6, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 7, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 8, we are going to start off with 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to do 6 invisible decreases. So if you've never done them before, you're going to go in the next 2 front loops, So you're going to come up through the middle of your V of the first stitch, up through the middle of the V of your second stitch. Grab your yarn, pull through those 2 front loops, grab your yarn again and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's 1 invisible decrease, front loop, grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 front loops, grab your yarn, pull through the 2 loops on your hook. That's 2, invisible decrease, that's 3, invisible decrease, that's 4, invisible decrease, that's 5, invisible decrease, that's 6. And then we should have 6 single crochets left to finish off the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 9, we are going to start off with 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 6 invisible decreases. So remember the front loops of the next 2 stitches. Pull through and pull through. So that's 1 invisible decrease, that's 2 invisible decrease, that's 3 invisible decrease, that's 4 invisible decrease, that's 5 invisible decrease, that's 6. And then we should have 3 single crochets to finish off the row. 1, 2, and then on our third one we're going to change colors. So you're going to go in, grab your yarn, pull up, leaving those 2 loops on your hook. You can cut this color, leaving a bit of a tail for tying. Then you're going to take your new color, tie that to your old color nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, 2 or 3 times. Tuck them in, grab your new color, pull that through those last 2 loops of your last stitch of your previous row. Row 10, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 11, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 12, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 13, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 14, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 15, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 16, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 17, 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, we can take our hook out now and our stitch marker because we're going to be stuffing. All right, so we are going to start by stuffing the toes. So what you want to do is make sure you have the top front of your foot. So this is where you made your 6 decreases in those 2 rows. We're going to put our stuffing down in, and all we're going to do is kind of swoop our finger up into the toe like this, just to emphasize that shape. So you want it to be fairly firm, but you don't want to see your stuffing through the stitches. So if you start stretching your stitches, then you're going to stop. So I can start to see right there. So now I'm going to take a little bit more. I'm going to put it in the back of the foot. I'm also using the palm of my hand to keep this flat. When you think you have enough in the foot, you're just going to put a little bit up into the leg, so probably about 3/4. Generally, I just kind of lightly stuff it, and then I leave these top 2 rows here open. I need a little bit more there. And what I do that for is because when we attach it, we want it to kind of come down in a triangle like this. So when she is sitting, her little belly isn't in the way of the leg and she won't tip over as easily. Now, if you're happy with how much stuffing you have, you're going to get your hook back in. And then you're going to go into the next stitch. Then you're going to go into the last stitch on the other side. So just like we did the arms. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Then we're going to do an increase. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets. And then we'll tie that off. Again, leave a little bit of a tail. I don't do a lot with these ends, but I do tie them on the inside to secure them a little bit better. All right, so if you've just finished your first leg, I will be putting a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second leg. And if you finished your second leg, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, now we're going to be starting at the top of the head. And again, you can begin your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That's just attaching our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Oops, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, increase, 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, increase, 3, and 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5. And repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30. Row 6, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, and repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 6 and 7, and then repeat that around. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, increase, 13, and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, increase, 20, and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, increase, 27, and 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, increase, 34 and 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and increase, 41, and then on our 42nd stitch we're going to change colors. So you're going to go in, grab your yarn, pull up, leave those 2 loops on your hook. We're done with the orange or whatever hair color you chose, so we'll cut that, leaving a bit of a tail for tying. Then you're going to grab whatever color you've chosen as a skin color. You're going to tie that new color to your old color, nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, 2 or 3 times. Then you're going to take that new color, pull it through the last 2 loops on your hook to finish off that last stitch of your previous row. Row 8, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 9, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 10, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 11, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 12, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, oopsie, 42. Row 13, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 14, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 15, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6. And repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, decrease for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, decrease for 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, decrease for 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, decrease for 36. Row 16, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease for 5, and repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, decrease for 30. Row 17, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, decrease for 24. Row 18, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, 2, decrease for 3, and repeat that around. 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease, for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, decrease for 18. And on our 18th one, we're going to stop, leaving those 3 loops on the hook because we're going to change color now. And we are done with this color, so we're going to cut that off, leaving a bit of a tail for tying. And now we're going to grab our body color and we're going to tie that nice and tight, as close to the hook as we can, 2 or 3 times. And you're going to grab that new color, pull it through those 3 loops to finish off that last stitch of your previous row. Now we're going to be doing the arm row next. So grab those, get those ready, and I'm going to switch camera angles and I will be right back. All right, row 19, we are going to start with 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to grab your arm, and remembering that this is the back, you want to have your strings and your thumbs facing the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the next stitch in the head. So that's 1, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 2, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head, that's 3. And then we're going to do 6 single crochets across, and remember to go into the next stitch and not the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to grab your other arm. Again, remembering that this is the back and this is the front. We want to have our strings and our thumbs facing the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and the next stitch of the head. That's 1, through the arm, do the next stitch of the head, that's 2, through the arm, through the next stitch of the head. That's 3. And then we should have 3 single crochets left to finish off the row. 1, 2, 3. All right, row 20, we are going to do 2 single crochets, a 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4. And repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8. And as you're going around, make sure that these arm strings are on the outside because that's where we will need them for later. 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 21, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 22, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5. And repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10. 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29, and 30. Row 23, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 24, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, and repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 25, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 26, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then on our 36th one, we're going to go in, pull up, leaving those 2 loops on the hook because we're going to change to the belt color now. Don't cut this because we're going to use it again in 2 rows. And we'll just pick it right back up. So we're going to tie our belt color to our body color nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it. 2 or 3 times. And pull that new color through those 2 loops to finish off that last stitch of the previous row. And now we're also going to take our hook out. Let's put our eyes in now. So grab those, get those ready. All right, first thing we're going to do is find our row. And our eyes are going to go between rows 11 and 12. So you're going to find your first starting loop. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So right here in between rows 11 and 12, and you're going to put it into a hole. Then you're just going to flatten your guy out so we can find the center of that row now. And I like to just take where my knots in my arms were, and then I just count over evenly. So right about here. Then come up to my top center loop hole. And I'm definitely way off on this one. So let's try 1 over. That could be good. It's going to be there or 1 over, but I think I'm going to do that one. So I'm right in an actual hole. And you're going to take one of your eyes, starting where that pin is, you're going to go over 4 holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that 4th hole, you're going to put your eye. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So starting at that pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 4th hole. And then now you're just going to have a look, see if it feels centered to you. You may have to move it over 1. Just remember, if you move 1 over, you probably got to move the other over. I think that's okay. So if you're happy with where they are, you're going to put your thumb onto your eye. You're going to push it up through the neck so you can reach it nice and easy. Don't stretch those stitches. Put your back on. Then you're going to go to your other eye, thumb on the eye, push it up gently through the neck. Put your back on. All right, now I'm not going to be stuffing for quite a bit yet. But if you need to stuff as you go, you'll want to start doing that now. Let's get our hook back in. Remember, we just changed color. Now for row 27, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 28, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then on our 36th one, we're going to change back to our main body color. So you're going to go in, pull up, leaving those 2 loops on your hook. And this time you can cut the brown that you were just using, or black. And you're going to tie your body color and your belt color together nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get them, 2 or 3 times. And then you're going to pull that new color through to finish off that last stitch of your previous row. Okay, we're going to do the skirt now, and all the rows are going to be row 29, and then they're going to be sub-letters A, B, C, and D. And this first row is going to be done in the front loop. So if you've never done a row in the front loops before, instead of going underneath and through those 2 V's in your stitch, you're going to come up through the middle of those V's, and you're just going to catch those front loops, leaving these back loops, because once we're done the skirt, we're going to need those to finish off the rest of her body. And we're going to start every row with a slip stitch and a chain 1. So we're going to slip stitch in that first front loop. Then we're going to chain 1, and this is just giving us height for our half double crochets. Okay, so for row 29A in the front loops, we're going to be doing 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet increase, and repeating that all the way around. So for a half double crochet, you're going to yarn over, we're going into that same stitch we just slip stitched. Grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn, and go through the 3 loops on your hook. So it's just like a single crochet, only you're yarn overing first. So now we're going to do a half double crochet increase, yarn over in the next stitch, grab your yarn, go through the 3 loops, and another one in that same stitch. So we're at 1, 2, 3. This chain is not counting as a stitch. And then we're just going to repeat that all the way around, remembering they're all in the front loops, they're all half double crochets. So that's 3, half double crochet, 4, half double crochet increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, increase, 26 and 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, increase, 32 and 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36, 37, increase, up, 38 and 39, 40, oops, I gotta redo that one. So I'm still on 40, increase, 41 and 42, 43, increase, 44 and 45, 46, increase, 47 and 48, 49, increase, 50 and 51, 52, increase, 53 and 54. And then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and make sure you're not going in your chain 1. You want to be going behind your very first half double crochet in that V. And then chain 1. All right, row 29B, we are going to do 54 half double crochets all the way around, and we're starting in that first stitch where we slip stitched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, whoops, I only went under 1, so I'm still on 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. Then you're just going to slip stitch into that, behind that last half double crochet, and chain 1. Row 29C, we are going to do 54 half double crochets all the way around, starting in that same stitch that we slip stitched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and then again slip stitch just behind that half double crochet, chain 1. Row 29D, we are going to do 54 half double crochets all the way around, remembering to start in that same stitch you just slip stitched in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and then we're going to slip stitch just behind that first half double crochet. Now this is where I ended mine. If you want to do one more row to make it a little longer, you can, but I thought this was long enough. So I'm just going to tie this off now. Leave a little bit of a tail. I'm not weaving this in. I'm going to be bringing it up here and tying it to my other end when I attach my bottom half color. You can weave it in if you want, but if you like to have everything knotted like I do, and just leave it there. And now we're going to add a little bit of stuffing. If you haven't already. So I've just flipped the skirt up so it's out of my way here. And I'm going to get a nice bit packed up above the eyes and the top of the head. We want to have a lot of stuffing in here, but you want to be careful not to stretch your stitches. So what I do is I hold around the neck, and that helps a little bit. My face color yarn is quite thin, so I do overstuff. They look overstuffed a bit when I use that color. Alright, so you just want to make sure it's nice and round, and I'm kind of sticking my fingers up around just above the neck, just kind of feeling for space. If it doesn't feel very hard and compact, I just kind of slide a little bit more stuffing in there. Maybe a little bit more. Not too much, I don't think. My neck is stretching a little bit. So see, you don't want to have that if you can help it. I think that's good enough. You can put a little bit in the body now if you want, but I'm going to do a couple more rows just so it's easier for me to fit it in the camera view. So you're going to grab your color for your bottom half, and we're going to be attaching this into the back loop of our belt row here. So you can attach however you prefer. I make a knot with a loop on the end, but I want to leave a tail so I can tie it to my skirt tail when we're done. Whoop. And what you're going to do, if you're not sure what front loop to ever start in, a good way to do that is find your first stitch there in the front loop. You just stick your hook in there, and then kind of as you bring it around, you're in that the right hole there, and you're just going to grab that first, it's hard to see, but it'll be that first front loop on the other side. So I'm going to attach my yarn, pull it through. I'm going to chain one. This isn't counting as a stitch. This is just to attach. And for row 30 in the back loops, we're going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. So starting in that first back loop where you attached your yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. All right, and since I'm tying this end to my skirt end, I want to leave that on the outside. All right, in row 31, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 30, and make sure you're starting behind your single crochet and not where you chain 1 to attach. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5. And repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and a decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30. Row 32, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. And repeat that around. 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. All right, we're going to do the leg row next, so grab those and get those ready. Okay, so for row 33, we are going to start off with 8 single crochets, and if you're left-handed, you may be doing this row backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you grab one of your legs, doesn't matter which one because they're both the same, but what you want to make sure is that the toes are facing the body and the head, because she's upside down. When you flip her over, you want those toes to be facing up. And now we are going to do 6 single crochets through the leg and through the next stitch of the body. So into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 1, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 2, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 3, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 4, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 5, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 6. And then you're going to flip that leg string over so it ends up on the inside. Grab your other leg again and make sure that the toes are facing the body. And 6 single crochets into the leg and the next stitch of the body. And just make sure you're in the next stitch because it's really easy to go in the same one. That's 1, into the leg, next stitch of the body, that's 2, into the leg, next stitch of the body, that's 3, into the leg, to the next stitch of the body, that's 4, into the leg, next stitch of the body, that's 5, into the leg, and the next stitch of the body, that's 6. Bring that tail to the inside with the other one, and then you should have 4 single crochets left to finish off the row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to take our hook out now. So let's tie these 2 legs together first. So we're just going to tie them nice and loose along the inside of the body. You don't want it tight because you don't want your legs to squish up like that. So just nice and loose, just so they're not in your way, but the ends are secured so they won't ever come out. Give them a little bit of a trim. I'll add a little bit of stuffing now too. we've only got about, I think, 3 rows left. So put enough stuffing in there that you need to. I'm not quite going to stuff mine all the way, just because it's hard for me to decrease in the camera. It doesn't have to be quite as firm as you did the head, but you want her body to be nice and full. See, it's quite squishy. And you can always add a little bit at the end or as you go. I'm going to stop there. Get my hook back in. All right, and when you're ready, row 34, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3. And repeat that around. 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, whoop, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. Row 35, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, decrease for 2, 3, decrease, whoop, grab some stuffing, for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. Now we only have 1 row left if you need to add more stuffing. I actually think I added too much, and I'm not going to add any more. Maybe a little bit in the center. I'm just going to squish the backside out a bit, just so I make a little bit of a well in there, so I can put a little bit in the middle. When you're doing this, you don't want her bottom to be too rounded, because you want her to sit. Okay, I'm going to stop stuffing. And for row 36, we're just going to do 6 decreases. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases, 5 decreases, 6 decreases. And then we're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Oop, almost lost it. Tie off, leave yourself enough of a tail to close and bring it through the inside somewhere. I'm going to pull my stitch marker out. We got enough strings in there already. All right. Thread on your darning needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to weave in and out of the top loops of our last row. So, in and out. If you have chosen to try this in the plush yarn, just do a couple of stitches at a time and then pull it, and that will help keep your yarn from breaking. So I'm just going to pull that tight now. I'm all the way around. I'm going to go into the next stitch, or the closest stitch to where I came out, and I'm just going to tie a little knot. I'm only tying one, but you can tie 2 or more if you need to. Then we're going to come up the middle and then just out the back somewhere. I like to give mine a little pull to bring that knot kind of inside. Give it a cut. I guess let's work from the bottom up. So let's deal with these. So I got where I attached my bottom half yarn, and I've got my tail from where I finished my skirt. So I'm going to put my skirt tail on. And if you've changed your mind, you can still weave in here if you want. I'm just going to bring my yarn down through to meet up with this tail here. So nothing fancy, just catching some stitches so it's kind of in the middle somewhere. So just that's all I'm doing. Pull it all the way through. Try and bring that tie-off knot out, but don't let it get squished up. You want it to be nice and round. Then we're just going to lightly tie this so that we're not pulling on our skirt. So just keep tying loosely and then tighter as you go. And then when you can kind of pull it without it sliding, you've got enough. I'm just going to do one more time to be sure. And we'll thread those ends back on. And then we'll just put them out somewhere. So I want to make sure I go in the hole where, just beside where I attached the yarn. And then just come out somewhere. I think I want to go under the leg. Give it a nice pull so all those knots go to the inside. And then we'll give that a cut. And now we'll do these arm strings. And we'll thread one of them on. It doesn't matter which one because they're both done exactly the same way. What you're going to do is you're going to find where your knot, tie-off knot was and your last stitch that went in. You're just going to go into that hole and then come out the back and somewhere near the middle of the neck. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Thread that tail on, find your knot and where your last stitch was where you attached, and then you're just going to go in that hole. You're going to come out in the same spot that your other thread came through. Whoop, come on, there we go. And we're going to give that one tie. Now you want to keep track of what ends go to which arm. So what I like to do is just kind of wrap it around the neck, flip it around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull on these ends, and that's going to bring those knots to the inside and the arms kind of forward. So just pull till you're happy with wherever they are, remembering that they will relax a little bit. Then once you're happy, you're going to give it a nice tie in the back to secure it. And then we'll thread those back on and hide them inside somewhere. So right back in that same hole and then out somewhere. Doesn't matter where. Wherever is easiest for you. Okay, there we go. We got her head and body done. All right, now we are going to do the ears. And again, you can make your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. But leave yourself a bit of a tail for attaching. I'm just going to make my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull through, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, not going over top of the tail, we're going to do 6 single crochets into that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're just going to slip stitch, tie off, leaving yourself a little bit of a tail again for attaching. And let's do our second ear. So leave yourself a bit of a tail, make your loop or magic ring or whatever you prefer. I keep doing the wrong end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, chain 1, and not going over top of the tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then slip stitch and tie off, again leaving yourself a bit of a tail for attaching. All right, now we're going to attach our ears, and I'm just going to pin mine in place. I'm going to be starting at the top of the eye. If you did something different with your eye, I'm 1 row up from the row I inserted the eyes on. So that's where we inserted the eyes. I'm 1 row up, and I'm going to count over 7 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoop, and I'm just going to go in that 7th hole. Same thing on the other side. I'm 1 row up from where we inserted our eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just have a look. So this is the top of our ears right here. We're going to be going in and out 1 stitch ahead. So our ears are going to be right here. Just kind of see if they're kind of close to even with the arms. And if you're happy with their placement, we'll thread one of our ears on. And make sure you decide which side you want showing. So I'm going to have the front side showing, so that's where you can see the V's. If you prefer this side, just make sure they're both the same way. So you're going to, whatever side you like, you're going to take your top thread, we're going to put it in the same hole that our pin is in. And we're going to come forward around that stitch. Oh. And then we're going to come into that very first stitch of the ear. Sorry, I can't get a good grip on the head here. Then you're going to come down one row around the stitch. You're going to go through the center of the ear. And then you're going to come down again, one row, and yours will be tighter. I'm just keeping mine loose so you can see. We'll go around that stitch. And then we're going to go into that last stitch of your ear on the bottom. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to have to pull mine tight here. And then once you're done, we'll just tie those together one or two times, fairly tight. And then let's thread those ends back on. You're just going to come down right beside the ear on the back side, kind of fairly even where you just ended in that same row, somewhere close to the center of the back of the head. And then let's put our other ear on. So just make sure it's facing the right way with your other ear. Again, you're going to put the top string on your needle. You're going to come to the back of the ear, or sorry, the pin, go in that stitch and around. I can do this like this. And there we go. And go in that first stitch of the ear. Come down a row around that stitch. In the center hole of the ear. Down a row around that stitch. And then in the bottom stitch of the ear. Then we'll just tie those in the back, nice and tight. Thread those ends back on. And then come down nice and close to the side of the ear, and then come out in the same spot your other threads came out. Kind of keep track of which ear strings belong to which ear. And we're just going to tie those together. And kind of like what we did with the arms, you can turn your little guy around. And then if you want, you can kind of bring them a little closer together. Just kind of making his head a little differently shaped. I'm not pulling mine too hard. And then once you have those tied and secured, we'll thread them back on and inside the body. Oh, I didn't think I could do all four. Almost. I still don't know who showed me this little trick about folding it over your needle, but even though it took me a while to get used to it, I don't think I've done it any other way since. And then just put them out somewhere else. Give them a cut. All right, now we're going to shape the face and just kind of bring the eyes a little closer together. So thread on your matching yarn to whatever skin color you've chosen. You're going to come somewhere in the middle, and I go right in the same row that I inserted my eyes. You're going to come up just in front of the eye. If you did your eyes like me, we're going to wrap around. If you didn't, you're just going to simply go down one row. So leave a little bit of thread for tying. I'm going to wrap around the eye. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Go into that hole just below at the bottom corner of your eye. You're going to go over to the matching stitch on the other side. So I'm just at the bottom corner of this side of the eye. Wrap around or go straight in, one row up, and then come out where your other piece of yarn is, where you started. So just like that. And now you're going to tie them one time, and you're going to slowly pull and push your eyes together and down, pull. Just make sure they're not so close together that they kind of look cross-eyed. They will relax a little bit over time. Then once you have them secured, we'll thread those ends back on and then through the head. So back inside, out the back somewhere, or wherever is easiest. And then if you have a hole like this after you're done, you're just going to kind of scooch these stitches around a bit and just kind of close that hole. Cut those ends off. Alright, now we're going to do the nose. So again, grab whatever matching skin color you used. Thread that on. And we're going to come 2 rows down from where we inserted the eyes. So 1, 2. We're going to be going in this row. So I'm just going to kind of find my center stitch right there. And I'm going to be going in each stitch on either side. So I'm just going to hold this. You can pin it if you want. I'm just going to hold my thumbnail there. Come down a little bit because this is where we're going to tie. So I'm going to come out that hole I marked. Leave a little bit of string for tying. Skipping that center hole and going over into the next hole. And then we're just going to wrap around between those 2 stitches. Probably 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, don't pull it too tight. 3, whoop. This will be 4. This will be 5. And this will be 6. So I'm going to be doing mine 7 times, it looks like. So going down will be my 7th time. And then I'm just going to come down where I started. So I can tie. Whoop. And then we'll just give that a little tie. Don't tie it too tight because you don't want to pull the stitches you just made. Whoop. So just a couple of times. Rethread those ends on. And then down in that same hole and out the back somewhere. Again, don't pull tight here. Just enough to get the knot through. And if you did accidentally pull this too tight and a couple of your strings look funny, you can just come down underneath and then just give it a bit of a wiggle and pull up a bit, and that should help fix that. All right, let's do the mouth now. And I'm just taking some of my extra thread that I've split already. So usually there's 4 strands in this. Right now I just have 2. I'm just going to split them apart, untwisting them. If you have embroidery thread, use that. It will look a lot nicer. Thread that on. And again, we're just going to go 2 rows down from our nose. So find the row that you put your nose in. 1, 2. So we're going to be going in this row. And I'm just going to be going kind of straight under the middle of the eye. So I'm just going to mark right there. Come down a few stitches because this is where we're going to tie. So I'm going to come out. Leave a little bit of string for tying. Then you can either go across and straight down, or what I'm going to do, following down the center of my eye, I'm going to go down in the center under my nose and out. So that gives me a straight line, and then I'm going to come underneath of that yarn around and then in that same stitch and then out for tying. And this will give us a little bit of a smile when we pull that down. You may have to just kind of play with it a little bit to make it a bit of a curve. And then if you're happy with it, we'll give that a tie fairly loosely so that you don't pull on that smile too much. And then thread your ends back on and out through the back or wherever is easiest. Don't pull it too hard. And then give it a little cut. And if you happen to have a bit showing there, you're just going to take your needle and a couple stitches over and then just swipe that away and you won't see it anymore. Alright, now we're going to do the eyebrows, and again I'm using just 1 strand of my 4-strand yarn. And just keep in mind, I'm not good at this part doing eyelashes. I'm just kind of winging it when I did these. So if you have a better way, do your way. So I'm going to just come in somewhere where I can tie it. I'm going to be using these 3 holes around the eye. I'm going to go up, over, over. So just somewhere down below. So I'm going to go in that first stitch above the eye. Leave some yarn for tying. I'm going to kind of go up 1 row. I'm going to come back down into that next hole. Then I'm kind of going to go on an angle. I think I went 2 stitches over. Then I'm going to come down into the hole. This will be the same hole that I put the eyes in when I put the eyes in. Then I'm just going to come back a hole, I guess. I think I should have caught a bit of that stitching there. But now it's too late. And then just come out where you started. So, I mean, kind of looks okay. I'm pretty sure that's the same stitches as my original one, but it doesn't look as good. Maybe because it's, for some reason, I need all the details to make it kind of look better. So we still got a few to go yet. So we'll thread those ends on. Hide them out the back or wherever you can reach them to. Make sure you're grabbing some stuffing so you don't see a line here. Swipe that away if you need to. I guess it's okay. There. Alright, so we need to do 1 more on the other side. So again, I should save that one for my eyebrows. Longer one. Alright, so I'm just grabbing one of my pieces of yarn that I've split. And now you need to try and duplicate what you did on this side. So I'm going to start down here somewhere. I'm going to come up in that top hole above my eye. Leave a little bit of yarn for tying. Go up 1 stitch straight up. I'm going to come over to this corner of my eye. And I skip 2 holes. So I'm going to go in that second hole. Down to the row that I insert my eyes in. And then straight across 1 row, and then out where I started. That's happening. There we go. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. She's got eyelashes. And then we'll put those ends out the back if we can. Swoop that away. And we might as well do the eyebrows next, I guess. So you're going to grab some matching hair color for the eyebrows. Thread that on. I'm going to start by doing the insides of the eyebrows. So I'm just going to come up 1 row and match that on the other side. You want to be fairly even. So I'm just kind of coming up from where my first eyelash is. Bring about half your yarn through. You want the same amount on both sides. And then I am going to go 1 stitch behind my second eyelash. So they're going to look like this. So there's my middle eyelash. I'm going to go 1 stitch over and then come out the middle somewhere. This is where we're going to tie them together. And again, you don't want to pull those too tight. Thread on your other side. Same thing. 1 hole over from your middle eyebrow, out the center. If they happen to be a little off, because going in the round, your stitches don't always line up, you can pull 1 a little more. Just make sure you're pulling the right one. And then if you're happy with them, we'll give them a tie. Not too tight, because you don't want to pull them anymore. And we'll thread those back on. Oh, just got 1 that time. All right, and I'm just going to put them up through the hair, so it's coming out the same color. And don't pull this side too hard either. Give them a cut. All right, now we're going to mark off where we want to start and stop our bangs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top of the ear, straight up to where the orange and the skin color meet. Pick 1 of these stitches. So I'm going to go just a bit back. So this is where one of my braid is going to start, and we need 3 holes. So 1, 2, 3 for the braid, and then 1 over. That's where we're going to end our bangs. Same thing on the other side, straight up from the ear where the skin color and the hair color meet. And again, I'm going to go back 1. We need 3 holes for our braids. 1, 2, 3. And then in that next hole, that's where they're going to start and end. And just have a look, see if you're happy. I think that'll be good. All right, now you're going to take your matching hair color and we're going to be attaching our yarn. So you can attach any way you want, but leave a bit of a tail. I'm going to make my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook in the same spot that you put your pin. You're going to come down and around that first stitch. Attach your yarn. I'm going to pull it through that stitch. I'm going to chain one. This is still just attaching. And now you're going to do a single crochet in that same stitch. And now we're going to start our repeats. You're going to start by doing a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then starting in that second chain from your hook, we're going to do 2 slip stitches down. So slip stitch, slip stitch. Then we are going to skip 1 stitch and go into the next stitch, do a single crochet. So there's 1 bang. Then you're going to repeat that pattern again. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches down, 1, 2, skip 1 stitch, slip or single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that again. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches down, 1, 2, skip 1 stitch, go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. Repeat that again. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Should be looking like this. Continue that same pattern. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, do a single crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, single crochet. And when you're getting to the end, don't worry if you have the same amount of bangs as me. Your main goal is your last stitch is going to come down and around through where your pin is. So if you have a stitch to skip here, you're going to skip the stitch. If you happen to be here, you're just going to go into the next stitch. So I have a stitch, so I'm going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch. It's all going to depend on where your ears were when you marked. And I'm just going to do a single crochet to finish off that pattern. and a slip stitch to tie off. Whoops. Make sure you're in the stitch. Just so it matches the other side. So I'm still on my slip stitch here. There we go. Tie off. And then leave yourself a tail. So we can put these ends in. And we'll do that right now too. So just take one of your ends. Doesn't matter which one you start with. And we're just going to put it right in wherever your knot is here. So I'm on my starting one. I'm just going to put it out. You can tie these if you want. I'm not going to bother. I don't think they're going to move around much. I'm just going to do my other one. And then I'm just going in that hole right beside where my tie-off knot was, and then out the back. Give it a good pull though so that knot comes through. Alright, we got our bangs now. Now we need to make our little braid pieces. So before you decide how long they are, what I'm going to do, so this is where they're going to be attached. I'm just going to fold it over and just kind of let it hang till it touches about where the ground is. And that'll give you enough room for making your loops here and braiding and still be long enough. So I want all my pieces, whoops, to be so about that long. And we're going to need 12 of them. So I'm just going to go like this, back and forth. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that should be 12. I'm just going to cut all those little ends on each side. And then we're going to take 2 at a time and then add them to our head. So fold it about in half. You're going to come to the stitch right beside where you ended. So this is our slip stitch right here. So I'm going to come in the next one and around. It doesn't matter if you go from this side or this side. Just make sure you do them all the same way. So all your stitches will go this way on one side and this way on the other side. So we're just going to thread that loop that we made onto our hook, pull it through around the stitch. Now we got a loop here. We're just going to grab that extra string, pull it through, and then make our little loop to attach. Grab 2 more, fold them in half. Make sure your ends lined up on the bottom. We're going to go in the next stitch back and around that stitch. Put on the middle of our yarn there that we made. Pull through that stitch. Whoops. So we've got our loop now. Then pull that extra yarn through that loop and pull that tight. Grab 2 more. Go in the next stitch back around the stitch. Put your ends on there. Pull it through. You've got your loop. Take your ends through that loop. So there's your 2 braiding or 3 braiding strands. and you've got 2 pieces of yarn in each strand, which when folded in half will be 4. So let's put the other on the other side. So I got 2 strands again, folded in half. And I went this way on the other side, so I got to make sure I go this way on this side. So I'm going to go down and up just so I'm in that stitch right behind where our bang started. Pull it through. Make your loop. Pull those ends through the loop and tighten it. 2 more strands. Fold them in half. Go into that next stitch from the back. Grab the middle, pull it through. You've got your loop now. Bring those ends through that loop and pull it tight. Grab your last 2 strands, fold them in half. Go in your next stitch back. Get that middle on there, pull it through, and then pull the last ends through. All right, now you can do whatever you want from here on. If you want to go all the way around, maybe you want to make little pigtails. I'm going to be braiding mine. How am I going to do this? Okay, so I've lightly pinned her bum to the table, and see how this works. So what you're going to do is just braid your ends. What you do is you take the middle to the outside and bring the outside to the middle, and then do the same thing on the other side. Middle to the outside, outside to the middle. If you've never braided before. And you're just going to do that all the way down. That's far enough. And then I'm just grabbing a scrap piece of green. I'm just going to tie a bow right here. So when I did my other one, what I did was I lined it up with the belt as to where I tied it, and then they were both kind of even. And then I just tied a bow. Actually, I might tie that twice. Tie your bow. And then just cut off your ends about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And there's your little braid for one side. All right, now we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So braid these strands together. And again, I'm just going to use my belt line as kind of a guide. Grab a scrap of green. Tie that on to make a bow. Sorry if my hands are on the way. I'm just pulling the ends to make the top of the bow a little smaller. And then again, cut it so it's about 1 inch or 1/2 inch below. There we go. I just made a huge hole in my tablecloth here, so hopefully that's not too noticeable. future. Okay, now we're going to do the hat. And again, you can start your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That's just attaching our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 single crochet for 1, increase for 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase 5 and 6, 7, increase 8 and 9, 10, increase 11 and 12, 13, increase 14 and 15, 16, increase 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, increase 3 and 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, increase 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase 4 and 5, and repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase 9, and 10. 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30. Row 6, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, and repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 8, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 9, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then on our 36th one, we're going to go in, grab our yarn, pull up, leave those 2 loops on your hook because we're going to be changing color now. Don't cut this yarn because we're going to just pick it back up in a couple rows. So now you're going to grab whatever color you probably used for your belt. Tie that on nice and close to the hook 2 or 3 times. Then you're just going to grab that new color, pull it through those 2 loops you have on your hook, finishing off that last stitch of your previous row. Row 10, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 11, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then on our 36th one, we're going to go in, pull up, leaving those 2 loops on our hook. We can cut whatever our band color is. Then you're going to take your old color and tie it to this color that we were just using, nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, 2 or 3 times. And then grab your old color and bring it through those 2 loops to finish off that last stitch of our previous row. Row 12, we are going to do 36 single crochets, whoops, on the wrong side there, all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. All right, our next row, we are going to go in the front loop. So if you remember how we did that earlier, you're going to come down, up through the middle of that V, just catching these front loops. So for row 13, in the front loops, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 54. So 1 single crochet for 1 in the front loop, and an increase for 2 and 3. Remember, they're all in the front loop. Repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, increase, 26 and 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, increase, 32 and 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36, 37, increase, 38 and 39, 40, increase, 41 and 42, 43, increase, 44 and 45, 46, increase, 47 and 48, 49, increase, 50 and 51, 52, increase, 53 and 54. And for row 14, we're just going to do 54 single crochets all the way around. Oops, I didn't get in both loops there. Make sure you're in both loops now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, sorry my voice is going here, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. That's where I decided to end my brim. I actually really wanted to make it ruffly, but I don't know, it seems like, oh, hold on. Make sure you leave a big long tail for sewing this on the head. So you want to make it at least about 3 times around the hat. Anyway, I don't know, whenever I seem to make a ruffle, I used to be able to do 3 in one stitch and it would make a nice little ruffle. Now it seems like I have to do like 6 in a stitch to make it ruffle. So I don't know what I'm doing different, but this is how I ended up leaving it. All right, before we sew the hat on, let's grab a little color for our little buckle on the hat. We're just going to thread that on. Using this as a reference for the back, just kind of flip it around so you're on the front, and you're just going to come in close to where you think the center front is. Leave a little bit of a tail for tying. Go 1 or 2 stitches over, and then you're going to come up above where you went in. Same thing, 1 or 2 stitches over, and I'm going to come right back in that same side. Then I'm just going to go down and make my 2 parallel lines. And mine's a little crooked. I'm not too worried about that. Stitches don't always line up, but just do your best. You basically just need to make a little rectangle or a square. And then we'll tie those 2 ends together. And then just give them a cut. We might as well do the little buckle on her dress too. Just grab another scrap of yellow or whatever color you're using for the buckle. This time we're going to come under her dress somewhere. Kind of figure out where the center is of your belt. I'm just going to come up on one side, leave some thread for tying, go over a stitch or 2, go up a row above where you were just in, go across and around to the other side, and then do your 2 vertical lines. I'm just coming up the same holes that I used to go horizontally, and then I'm just going to come down where I started and then tie those ends together. Not too tight because we don't want to pull our stitches we just made. Rethread those on. And then just out somewhere to hide those ends. And don't pull that too tight. Just enough to get that knot inside. Whoops. Alright, now we're going to do the hat, and I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing. Let's take that stitch marker out first, I guess. Just enough to kind of fill it. I'm not making it like super firm or anything, just enough to kind of hold its shape. And then you want to pin it so that your buckle you put on is going to be right in the center in the front. And I'm just going to go in that crease where we did our front loops, and I'm just going to pin it, start pinning it all the way around. So I'm going to put a couple in the front, turn it around. I do have too much stuffing, I think. Take a little bit out. Yeah, that's better. And then bring your hat down as far as you want it on the head. I'm pulling mine quite a bit. And then I'm going to pin it a few times down there in the back. I'm not super concerned if it's round, so mine is stretched a little bit, but I wanted it to be kind of facing at an angle. And then you'll just put a couple pins all the way around to hold it in place before you sew it. I'm probably going in about every 2nd or 3rd stitch. Do the other side. Make sure you're pulling it evenly. And when I go in, I kind of go at an angle, tip my pin and then go in, and that really helps to keep it in place. The more pins you put in, the better it will stay. Just have a quick visual look all the way around, make sure it's fairly even. Then we'll thread on our sewing tail. first thing we are going to do is come down into the bottom of our brim here. So I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just catching a couple of the stitches on the inside. Give it a good pull, but then pull it back out so that it's not squished down there. And I am going to give mine one tie here, just so I don't pull that stitch out and squish my little band down. And then all you're going to do is come down around up where you made that front loop stitch. So you should have 2 rows. So your last 2 rows and your row of green just before you went in the front loop. So I'm just right there. So I'm going to go around 1 stitch. I don't know if you can see this. Okay, there. I'm going to come down, catch some of the head, and I'm going to go into the second stitch. So you can go in every stitch, but just to make it a little quicker, I'm going to skip a stitch as I go around. We basically just need to tack it down anyway. It's not really going to want to go anywhere. So down around that next stitch and then catch the head and up. And just do that all the way around. Every once in a while, check that your hat hasn't moved on you. But if you've used enough pins, it shouldn't go anywhere. And while I'm sewing around here, I'm just going to remind you all that if you ever want to share something you've made with me, I have a Facebook craft page. If you go in there, you can go to any post on there in the comments and leave a photo. I do have TikTok and Instagram. I'm not very good at getting to it. I told myself I was going to get better at it this year. I made 3 posts for Valentine's Day and then I didn't go back. So if you do follow me over there, I will follow everyone back. It just may take a while for me to get to it. And I do not understand the messaging system, so I probably will never answer you in there. But I'll always answer you on my craft page and down here in the comments. Also, don't forget, if you're ever wondering if I've made something else that you're interested in, you can go to my actual YouTube channel page and click videos, scroll down through that feed there, and every single one of my videos should show up. Okay, I'm at the back now, so I'm just going to make sure I end on the underneath side and then just find one of my stitches and tie a knot. And then just hide that inside somewhere. You can give that a cut. Get all my pins out. One thing that I noticed after I was done was these guys are kind of flopping around. You could put a little stitch in there with orange yarn to hold it right around the ear, and it kind of will help keep them stay in place. Then you can just flop the little ends wherever you want them. Oh, there we go. And one more thing just before you go. Most of you have probably already seen this guy, but if you're new to my channel, there is also a little boy to go with our little girl. And I will put the link down in the description box. You might have to click more twice and they'll be in there. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who has been so kind to have hit the thanks button and sent me such generous donations. You will now be listed at the end of all my next videos as my super thanks friends. Take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.